Many years ago, we started walking down a path of building a range and a small home on some land near Camdenton, Missouri. And as we walked down that path, we've had our trials, and we decided as we've kind of approached the end of this, our small home is almost built, and we're going to start tearing into the range next. We decided to make a series on kind of the path we've gone down. And the last video I made was really in regards to fighting over land, and I kind of talked about it growing up in Missouri. And based on your comments, I guess this is everywhere, is people just kind of make some assumptions that even if they don't own the land, if they've been using it, then they have the right to say how you will use the land if you own it. And it's really a strange thing. And this particular piece of land that we bought did not touch the road. There was an easement to the land that was written in, I believe, 1974 or maybe the 40s. I believe it was in the 40s, and then the road was made in the 70s. And as soon as we purchased this land, which we didn't access the road, but we did have an easement, the person who owned the land that the easement went through then told us that that was not our easement and put a giant pile of dirt and tires blocking our way, as well as a little gate. And then told us that actually our easement was a few yards over, which would have meant we had to build probably at least $1 million bridge over 100-foot deep ravine in order to access our land, or a helicopter pad, one of the two, in order to access our land. We do have water access, so we could access it by boat, but we need to access it by a car. And this was our legal easement. We had title insurance. If you ever buy land, this is where I'm going to say, make sure you get title insurance, because I always had title insurance, but this was the first time I really used it. And it was ultimately this battle over this land kind of began by, I went and talked to the assessor's office, and they said, yes, that is your land, that is your easement. And then right next door was the sheriff. So I went to the sheriff. I said, here's the trouble I'm running into. I just need to access my land. I don't want to, I could pull up with a bulldozer. Something tells me I'm going to run into trouble, and I'm just going to find my way back again talking to you. So I'm trying to resolve this peacefully as best I can. So then he went and spoke with the landowner, and then called me a few hours later and essentially said, they said that's not your easement. I'm not an assessor, so you're probably going to have to take this to court. I commented, I was like, well, you realize the assessor's office is literally next door to your office. You could go talk to the assessor. In which he said, well, that's not my job, and you're just going to have to take it to court. So I started contacting attorneys, and ultimately through this process, attorneys were telling me, yes, this is your easement, but in order to get a judge to approve it and they fight it all the way, it's going to have to go to trial. And if it goes all the way through trial, you're looking at about $25,000 to $50,000 in legal fees. And that's really when I thought, this is just insane. And that's when I accessed my title insurance. And when I reached out to the title insurance company, they then provided an attorney for me. So my attorney cost me $0.00. And then, of course, the landowner then got their attorney as well. Strangely, my attorney and their attorney, one of them was the best man at the other person's wedding, clearly best friends. So this, in my opinion, is a good thing. They can communicate, they can be open. So the communication process began. And the praying process began too. Through this process, I was praying, Lord, just show the neighbors, it's really a blessing to have us there. It really is. This is not going to be bad for them. It is only going to turn out good. And then 3 years of went by of these attorneys just back and forth. And then finally I got a call from my attorney saying, I was walking the land with the landowner and their attorney, and they realized that is the best place for the easement. And the landowner just said, well, you might see if your client just wants to buy this land. I'd be willing to sell everything on this side of the road. That person has 10 acres. This would give me 6 of their 10. Now, I really, being a principal of a small Christian school, I didn't make a lot of money. And I really couldn't afford to buy what they were asking for it. So I said, gosh, I'd love to, but I just don't have the money. And after about another 5-6 months of negotiating, it was determined that it was in the title company's best interest to just buy me the land than to fight it out in court. It was going to cost between $25,000 to $50,000 to fight it out in court, and I think they probably already at this point owed him about $20,000. So you're adding another 20 to 50 to that, and ultimately this person said they would sell the land for 11. So the title company then purchased the land for me, and we got 6 free acres. So now we have, at this point, we started out with 13. We have about 19 acres at this point, which gave me road frontage, a giant chunk of road frontage, water frontage. So everything between the road and the water was ours. And it just, I guess I think this is really the beautiful part of the story, because I didn't even know this kind of thing happened. I didn't know that you get free land this way. I've never heard of such a thing. And it was really through the praying process. I believe God has really blessed us with this land. That's why we know this is where we're supposed to be as well. It's kind of one of those things, and I bet everybody knows, where you're just doing something, or you're in a place where everything just works out. It's clearly meant to be. Well, that's definitely what this is. So just want to share the story, how we got free land. I think it's fascinating. I didn't even know that kind of thing happened. But get title insurance. If you ever buy a land house, get title insurance. Don't fool around. Get title insurance. So, love to hear any thoughts and comments on this. Put it below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel through Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. Never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.